What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin here, coming at you with my review of the Samsung Galaxy A23 5G. So without further ado, let's get started. Now, the Galaxy A23 5G is one of the latest budget Android devices from Samsung. This phone is being offered factory unlocked, and you can also get it at a variety of different carriers. Now, based on what I've seen so far, it does seem like the carriers are really heavily promoting this device and offering some really good deals. So I would definitely recommend going that route first to see if you can really get a solid discount on this device, as I do have a feeling that most people that end up getting it most likely will not be paying the full retail price due to the various promotions going on. And considering that this phone really packs in a lot of value as a budget device, really makes me think that the Galaxy A23 5G will be a huge success for Samsung all throughout this year. Now, last spring, there was a similar device that was launched, which was the Galaxy A23 4G LTE model, and I have already covered that here in the channel. And while that phone does share a lot of similarities with this device, this phone is technically a whole different phone, and unlike that device, of course, this one actually is being sold officially in the US. Now, as far as the names go of those two phones, the only difference is that this device has 5G in the name, but there are some other differences that were incorporated into this phone as well, such as a better display, a better processor, and then of course having 5G connectivity, and also some other things too, which I will be comparing this phone to that phone in a separate video. Now, with the Samsung Galaxy A23 5G, we have a very large 6.6-inch display. This display does feature Corning Gorilla Glass 5, making it extra durable. Now, the actual display technology that we're getting here is PLS LCD, but what's really cool about this device is that it actually features a 120 Hz refresh rate on the display itself. So everything runs very smoothly here. It's really surprising to even see this feature on a lower end phone like this one, but overall, this device really has an excellent looking display. Now, the display is 1080p. We're getting a PPI of 400, so things are really crisp and clear here. We're getting a 20:9 aspect ratio, so a more narrow but taller form factor, and we're getting an 82.5% screen to body ratio. So in general, with such a large canvas here and such a clear looking display, this phone is an excellent option if you want a phone that's great for content consumption, because whether it's watching a video or going on social media or even reading an ebook, you're going to have a really good experience with this device doing all those various tasks. Now, the overall design of this device isn't anything too special, unique, or new. We do have a water drop notch up top here and a thicker bottom bezel, and in that notch is an 8 megapixel front-facing camera. Now, internally with this device, we're getting 64 gigabytes of storage along with micro SD card expansion. So 64 gigs is not bad. That'll definitely get you pretty far, and it is nice that we at least have the option to add in a micro SD card to offload photos and videos, for example. Now, unfortunately, with the Galaxy A23 5G, we do not have wireless charging, but this device does feature a fingerprint sensor on the power button. So let's give that a try right now. It's very fast there and accurate. Let's try that one more time. There we go, very good. And in addition to having the fingerprint sensor, this phone also does have Face Unlock. So I do appreciate that we have multiple methods here for accessing the phone. Now, with this device, we have a quad camera setup on the back. So there's a 50 megapixel main camera, a 5 megapixel ultra wide angle camera that can capture images at up to 123 degrees, a 2 megapixel macro camera for close-up images, and a 2 megapixel depth sensing camera for portrait mode. And this phone does support portrait mode for both the rear and front cameras. Now, here's how things look on the camera app. This is with the main camera right here. Then from there, we can switch over to the ultra wide angle camera to fit a lot more content into the frame. I'm definitely a big fan of the ultra wide camera, as it gives us an additional option when capturing images. And overall, this feature especially comes in handy if you're outdoors, for example, and you want to take a picture of a large building or maybe a tree or something like that. I'm definitely a big fan of having it. But then from here, we can go over to the More tab and access the macro camera, where we can get very close up and have things be in really good detail. Then heading back here, we have portrait mode to get those nice blurred out backgrounds. We can also flip around to the front facing camera. There's me. And you can do portrait selfies, you can do regular selfies. There's also a group selfie mode, which crops things out a little bit. So overall, just a lot of different options and abilities when it comes to the various cameras on this device. But let's now look at some camera samples from the Samsung Galaxy A23 5G. Now overall, I've been very impressed with the camera quality from this device, especially considering that it is supposed to be a lower end Android phone. The quality that we're getting here from the various cameras is definitely a lot better than the Galaxy A13 5G, for example, and really, for the majority of people out there, this definitely gets the job done. You'll be able to take really nice looking photos that you'll want to share on social media, for example, or just preserve for future memories. So whether it's taking a selfie or taking a photo with the ultra wide or the main camera, I'm definitely very impressed with the various abilities of all the different cameras on this phone. And even the macro camera comes in handy on occasion. So if you are looking for a phone that's not too expensive, but at the same time can take really good usable photos and videos, I would definitely recommend going for the Galaxy A23 5G. And overall, I'll let the photo quality speak for itself, as you can see right here. But let's now take a look at some video samples from the Samsung Galaxy A23 5G. What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin here, coming at you with a 1080p front-facing test video from the Samsung Galaxy A23 5G. Definitely curious to know what you think of both the audio quality and video quality, so let me know, but it looks pretty good to me. And here is a 1080p test video using the main rear camera on the Samsung Galaxy A23 5G. We have very quick autofocus in video mode, which is good. Now, one limitation with the various cameras on this device is that video recording resolution does max out at 1080p, so there is no 4K video recording. But beyond that though, this phone is very capable. But let's now move on to performance. Now with the Galaxy A23 5G, we're getting 4GB of RAM paired up with the Qualcomm Snapdragon 695 5G processor. Now, as the name of the processor and the phone itself imply, this phone is 5G compatible. Now, at this point in 2022, I think you can definitely get by without 5G, but at the same time, if you're going to go through all the effort of buying a brand new device, you might as well get one that does support your carrier's latest and greatest network. Now, as far as the general performance of the phone goes, I think it's definitely adequate for the majority of people out there, especially if you're looking for a device for phone calls, text messages, occasional social media, watching video content. All those things are going to work really well with the A23 5G. I feel like the only frustrations really would come from someone that spends all day on their device. Maybe you're constantly on social media, you're constantly recording videos, maybe you're also editing some videos here and there, and even playing high-performance games. If that's the case, I can definitely see the need for something a bit more advanced and higher end compared to the A23 5G. But again, for most people out there, I feel like this phone is adequate as far as the various abilities go with the processor. Now, I did run a benchmark test using Geekbench 5, and here are the scores from that test right now. So what I recommend doing is running this test on your current phone and then compare your scores to these scores to get a better idea of how the Galaxy A23 5G compares to your current device. Now with this phone, we do have a 5,000 milliamp hour internal battery, so definitely expect to get very good battery life from the phone. Definitely a full day, if not two. So overall, Samsung made a great choice giving this phone such a large battery. Now the software that we're getting here is Android 12, running Samsung's One UI 4.1. Now, if you've used any other Samsung smartphone in the last several years, then this experience will definitely be very familiar to you. Overall, with this software, they definitely take the best aspects of Android 12 and then also add their own additional features on top of it. So in general, I really like the way that Samsung does their software. And another awesome thing with this phone is that it does feature NFC. So if you do like to make mobile contactless payments using Tap and Pay with services such as Samsung Pay and Google Pay, then you can do that here with this device. That's definitely something that I always use on various phones that do support it. Now here is the box that the Galaxy A23 5G does come in. Overall, it's a pretty small and slim box, and the main reason for that is because there is no charger included. Now we do get a SIM card removal tool, and we also get some literature. I'll show you right now. So some literature here included as well. And we do get a double-sided USB-C cable for charging and data transfer, but you are going to have to supply your own wall adapter. Now taking a closer look at the hardware of this device, I already talked quite a bit about the front panel here. Again, we have a really good display, especially for a lower end device like this one. Now the entire rest of the phone is made completely of plastic, but that is to be expected. And also, there's really nothing too special about the overall texture of the plastic or the design or anything. I would definitely recommend pairing this phone up with a case, because I can definitely see this plastic getting very scratched up as time goes on. That being said though, for what the materials are, I do feel like Samsung did make the best of it, and the phone doesn't necessarily feel cheap either. Now taking a look at the left side of the device, we just have the slot for the micro SD card and SIM card. Then on the right side of the phone, we have volume up, volume down, and also the power button, which doubles as the fingerprint sensor. Then up top here, we have the noise canceling microphone. And then on the bottom of the phone, we have the 3.5mm headphone jack, microphone, USB-C port for charging and data transfer, and the speaker. So it is really nice to see that the phone does have a 3.5mm headphone jack. That's definitely something that we're seeing less and less of. For example, even the Galaxy A53 5G and A33 5G do not have a headphone jack anymore. So at this point, the A23 5G is the highest end phone in the A series that still does have a 3.5mm headphone jack. Based on which variant of the A72 you do end up getting, you might not get a case in the box, but this is the model number for the A72 that I bought. Then getting further into the box. So as I mentioned earlier on in this video, the Galaxy A23 5G is an excellent device for content consumption. The display really does look great, and then having such a large canvas at 6.6 inches really makes it very clear to see everything on the display itself. Now the only downside with this entire experience with the device is that the phone is limited to just one speaker for audio. Now on phones that are higher end than this one, and even the Galaxy A53 5G for example has this as well, is that those phones do have stereo audio, so you'll be getting audio coming out of the main speaker and also the earpiece at the same time. But with this phone, you only get audio coming out of one speaker. Now fortunately, that speaker is plenty good, so you'll have no problem sitting back, relaxing, and listening to audio or watching a video. But at the same time, keep in mind that it's not quite as good as some higher end options. But this concludes my review of the Samsung Galaxy A23 5G. Overall, this device is an excellent option for somebody that doesn't want to spend too much money on a smartphone, but at the same time wants a good, reliable phone. So I definitely think it's a good choice. Now, most importantly though, I'm curious to know what you think about this device. Do you think it's worth getting? Do you think it's a good release by Samsung? Or were you hoping to see a little bit more with it? Definitely let me know in the comment section below. But this is Kevin here. This is the Samsung Galaxy A23 5G, and I will see you in the next video. Take care and have a great rest of your day.